Hey everybody. As you are starting to take model photos this week, I thought it might be helpful to run through a couple more just additional Photoshop things that can help you with your photos that you're generating, right? Whether or not you're using like a DSLR or maybe like a really nice iPhone camera, you're going to have these pictures that will be mostly pretty good, but could always use just a little bit of touching up. And so, just a couple things you can do. I want to go over white balances to start, right? So, first, if you ever want to do anything with a photo in here, remember you click on the layer, right click, and you want to convert to a smart object. That makes this editable, right? And so, uh, this is now a smart object. And what we're going to do is go to filter and camera raw filter. And so what this is going to do is it's going to pull up a window. Oop, I clicked the wrong one. They're both named the same thing. Camera raw filter. It's going to freeze for a second, and then it's going to pull up this second window. Move my head out of the way. And what you're going to see here is a series of balances, right, that you can play with. There's a great eyedropper tool right here that if you click this and then click on a part of your model that is supposed to be white, so like for me, I'm going to grab that right there. This will do kind of just like a default white balance. You can see there's still some greens, some blacks. There's almost like a little bit of like a yellowish, orangish reflection happening in this. There's color in this image, but if I want to just balance out the whites of my colored image, I can click in different areas. You can see like that's a cool, because this is a darker gray, that's like a cooler balance as opposed to over here is a warmer balance. Um, and I can then also just manually change the temperature of the color, right? If I wanted this to be a little more blue. I also can just hit this black and white button right here if I want to get something a little more monochromatic. Um, but this is just very quick way to take like a model photo and then white balance it, right? Um, Hit OK, and it applies that to the layer then. So uh, that being said, the next thing I want to quickly talk about is how you have different color spectrums you get to work with, right? So I'm sure you guys have heard of like RGB and CYMK. These are basically the two different color spectrums that you get to use and work with in basically any program you're working with, right? Especially, I'm sure, printing to the Knowlton plotters, you've had to make the decision if you're like printing an image or a PDF, like, oh, am I sending this a CYMK or RGB? So when you're working on something, it's helpful to know what the final deliverable is going to be, right? So if you know something is going to be a digital creation, like you're turning it in digitally, it's only going to be in your portfolio, it's not going to get printed. Use RGB. These colors are basically meant for screens and computers. And so when you go up into here, you can, I don't remember which the default is, but you can set RGB sliders to select colors. And this is the red, green, blue spectrum that you can like pull colors from. And then if you ever switch to these to the CYMK, these are, you want to work in CYMK if you're going to have a final deliverable that's printed. And this is just, it is like a technological nuance to it where just one is meant to be printed because it's easier for uh, toners and printers to work with ink wise. It's using four colors instead of three. The pixels in a screen use three different light colors. I'm not going to get into like the technicalities of it. Basically, if you want something made for screens, use your red, green, blue. And if you want something used for print or plotted work, use CYMK because there isn't always a one-to-one color match between the two, and there is going to be a subtle difference. And obviously, when you print something, the quality of the paper, the texture of the paper will also affect how that looks. But you can swap between these different uh, color modes when you're working both in Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, anything really. So then I just wanted to talk about the warp tool. So let's say you take a photo and you're seeing like crooked edges in your project. You can, once your image is uh, converted into a smart object, you can go to Edit and then go down to Transform, which it looks like you have to select it first. Transform, hit Warp. And so what this does is you're going to have all of these different options that pop up here. This is the default grid. Essentially, you can, if you're getting like a funky angle or maybe your model has like a little bit of a warp to it, you can like automatically come in here and correct warps in your images to like, let's say I want this to be straight right here. I can drop in extra lines to work with. You can like customize these, and then I can just start to play with this and just do like corrective warping. Um, I only use this in more extreme cases, but if I have like if I undo this and I just have my default image and I see that like, oh, I'm getting kind of like my model's looking kind of warped and bent right here. What I can do is there's different options to this, and I can just start to come in here and just selectively. So you can do rotating warps, which is not what I want to do. And then you can kind of just like pull this out. And what that does is that makes this line straight right here. Whoop. So you can start to do like corrective editing on some of your photos, very light touch up. Like this was a model that I had done in grad school and had photographed a long time ago that I can come back in and clean this up and make it real nice for putting into uh, a portfolio, right? But yeah, that's just kind of how you clean up some of your photos that you're going to be taking for your models. I hope this has been helpful. Just a couple more tools to add to your tool belt. And as always, if you have any questions, reach out. So great job, guys, and I will see you guys soon.